NetSuite Demand Planning or MRP. Let's go ahead and run a demand plan and determine what kind of projections does NetSuite suggest in terms of future sales or consumption. So I'll go ahead and run my demand plan, and I'll go ahead and enter some attributes here. First, which company or legal entity am I running the demand plan for? So it's a US 1 legal entity. Location, we'll just say LA, and my projection method. So I've got a variety of different algorithms here that NetSuite comes with to determine what the demand would look like. I'll just go ahead and select moving average. From here, my projection interval, weekly buckets or monthly buckets, we'll just do weekly. Projection duration, how far in the future do I want to calculate demand? We'll say 12 weeks or 3 months. And how far back do I want to look to determine what those trends should be? We'll just say half a year. I can then go ahead and enter my items that I would like to calculate demand for. Now, if you've got new products or any kind of obsolescence and you would like to base the demand on existing SKUs, you have the ability to tag those right here. So I'll go ahead and hit submit. And the system is now going to prompt me, you've run this before, do you want to override those quantities? Which I would like to. So I'll go ahead and hit submit. And now NetSuite's going to come back with those individual demand quantities for each SKU. You'll notice on the right-hand side here, I've got the different projection methods, one of those being a sales forecast. Now, if you wanted to develop a forecast outside of NetSuite, you could actually import that forecast into NetSuite from a CSV file. You could then use that as your basis for the supply planning, which we'll get into next. But let's go ahead and just drill down into one of these, which is this one here. And you can see up here on the top, you've got all of your different attributes that I entered previously. And as I scroll down, you can start seeing those quantities that NetSuite suggests I'm going to need in terms of demand. Now, that demand could be as simple as I've got a sales order for this SKU. It could be a forecast, but it also could be a demand based on this particular item being a component of a finished good. So if you've got a manufacturing process where this particular item is a component within your bill of material, NetSuite will allow you to actually explode the bomb and determine, well, there is demand for this based on the relationship with another product. So now we have our item demand, let's go ahead and look at the supply or sourcing activities. So I'll go ahead and click on my refresh planning repository. That's going to take all of the inputs from the demand plan as well as the current state of our inventory. What's our current inventory stocking levels, on-hand inventory, what's available, what's there in terms of open orders, open purchase orders, open work orders, open transfer orders, etc. It'll gather all that information and actually make some recommendations for it. So let's go ahead and enter our parameters here. I'll just go ahead and enter some data. I'll select all of the different definitions here and select refresh data. That's going to go ahead and run through an entire series of background processes to collate all of that information and then produce some recommendations for us. All right, so now our repository is run. Let's have a look at some of the results. I've narrowed down our results set here, but I'm focusing on a series of items. And as you can see here, we've got about 6 or so different item types here. And you can see what my current on-hand inventory, what's on order, some late demand. And then there are some interactive messages and suggestions that the supply planning workbench is saying you should take. I can drill down into individual ones over here, or I could go ahead and click on the summary, which is the 2. And it's telling me, consider releasing proposed planned purchase order 1418 and 1413. Now, a planned transaction set could be the form of a planned transfer order, planned purchase order, planned work order. And the idea here is that NetSuite's going to suggest that you create these transaction sets based on a variety of factors here, current inventory levels, demand, etc. Now, NetSuite won't just create the purchase order for you. It will create a intermediary transaction, which is the plan. So you can review, update, adjust for any kind of causal factors, whatever it may be, and go ahead and revise the planned purchase order before it's released to a formal purchase order state. So in this particular case, the system is saying, well, you already have a couple of planned purchase orders out there. Rather than creating new ones, let's go ahead and release those. Now, if I look at some exceptions over here, These are telling me, well, you've got these planned purchase orders over here, but we have insufficient lead time by 1 day. So let's go ahead and not only release these, but let's get on the phone with the contract manufacturer or the vendor and say, can we place an expedited flag on these particular orders to see if we can get this done any sooner. Now, the lead times are associated with the particular items or SKUs themselves. You can manually enter a lead time, or you can have NetSuite actually calculate the lead time over a period of time there as well. And then you can see I've got some additional supply activities here. And the power behind this is the actual pegging. So if I drill down into some of the pegging data over here, you can see this anode. You can see under here there's a work order, right? There's a work order where I need to build this super heavy 9-volt battery. And in order to build that, I need to actually manufacture the battery, but one of those components is the anode itself. So rather than saying, well, let's just create a purchase order for that, NetSuite is saying, well, you know what, you've got plenty of inventory over here in Los Angeles. Let's move that from LA in the form of a transfer order from LA to the contract manufacturer so that they can consume that as part of their build. So NetSuite won't just say enter a purchase order, it looks at all the stocking levels and also suggests transfer orders. Now let's go ahead and execute on some of these planned transactions. So once I'm happy with the transaction sets that have been suggested, I can go ahead and either drill down and edit some of these and review them in detail, or I can release them directly from here. So I can go ahead and release these, and these will release the 2 orders for me for processing. So I can go. And once those planned purchase orders have been submitted, I can actually go ahead and then create the actual purchase orders for those. And then I can run my inventory order item screen. And here you can see I can go ahead and click on my planned purchase orders. And here are the 2 purchase orders that we just released. So I can go ahead and flag these for the 2 items there. If I wanted to update any items or rates or anything like that at this stage, I also have the opportunity to do that. But from here, I can go ahead and hit submit, and that will go ahead and create those purchase orders. This methodology could be also used for work orders, transfer orders, purchase orders, etc. So the idea is that we've got our MRP creating the demand plan, our repository and supply planning workbench looking at collating all the information and looking at all the relevant inventory levels, and then creating these planned transaction sets that can then become live transactions in the form of, again, those purchase orders, transfer orders, and work orders.